Good morning, good people. Happy Father's Day to those out there who are fathers and also to those who act as fathers, right? Um, Being a father is not just about the physical ability to become one, it's also much more about what you do after um, the arrival, so to speak. So, anyway, um, taking a look at Bitcoin here. Um, I've heard from several people who are anxious to kind of wade in and buy. Um, and so I thought I'd share my thoughts on Bitcoin and what it's doing and where it may be going and things of that nature. So, first and foremost, if you recall, uh, we broke support back above um, 28,000, right? Kind of traded around um, during the month of June, as you can see there, and then ultimately, uh, more recently here, have capitulated to the downside. So the question is whether or not this is a blow off bottom. I don't know the answer to that. No one does. And, by blow off, I mean now it's going to bounce and turn around and go back to the upside. No idea. But here's how I would think about buying it, right? So, first and foremost, I would want it to be at a stronger or hitting a stronger level of support, which is way back here, just under 12,000, right? In 2020, right? That's the level from which it took off. It had bounced around that level several times. If I just go back here, you can see that that 12,000 level was a real hindrance. And then finally we took off and we got what we got, right? So, in terms of thinking about support, that's the level that I think about as being more, for lack of a better phrase, important, right? But there's some action that's going on this weekend that could lead one to believe that this, where we are right now, could be a good area to buy, right? Now, there's no signal here on the weekly. So let's drop down and look at the daily. So you see here, um, still no real signal here, right? Everything is still, everything looks pretty weak, right? We're having a bounce here. I suspect we can bounce back up above 20,000. Um, but then we'll run into some daily resistance there and slightly above. So I'm not sure if that will hold. But again, if you're really, really interested in buying, and I forgot to mention this, you're willing to accept um, uh, relatively small losses in order to get in and get positioned in Bitcoin. There's one more place that you can look to start to accumulate or start trying to buy Bitcoin on these low levels, right? And that place is, if we drop, wrong thing. If we drop down to the 2 hour here, and this is what led me to say, maybe I should take a look at this, right? So if I widen this out, um, I guess it was yesterday evening, we went below 18,000, but that was a stab, and it starts to look like that could have been, a nice stake in the ground kind of low, right? And then 2 bars ago, we put in um, uh, a higher low, maybe depending on how you think about it, right? So that, um, could be a place where people start to say, okay, The buyers are coming in and maybe we can get going to the upside. But here's the thing. I wouldn't buy here, right? And I'll tell you why. So the trend is still to the downside, right? Whether you're looking at higher highs and higher lows over whatever time period, like all of those things say that it's still the case that price is structured to the downside. So what do you need in order to think about buying? Well, I would say you need to get above my channel or a channel like mine. Mine is not the only one that exists. You need to get above on a closing basis and hold above, right? And start to buy pullbacks there. Or another way to think about it is you see this angle down from, like, if you look back at the 13th and you can see prices just trending down, like it has is pointing in the direction of the bottom half of this box as you look at a chart, right? You want it to be moving in the exact opposite direction, right? So instead of going from the upper left to the lower right, you want it to be going from the lower left to the upper right, right? So then and by the way, if that's the case, price is going to be above this channel. But in that instance, you can buy pullbacks and feel relatively comfortable that at a bare minimum, you are at least cooperating and involved and positioned to take advantage of what you hope will be a new trend to the upside. Okay? So, long and short, I wouldn't buy here. I think it's a fool's errand. You can look back and see that there have been several instances just in the last week of, oh, this is the low. Let me buy here. Oh, maybe not. Right? So the better way to approach it and think about it is to, take the context into consideration. This is not the first time I've said this. Take the context into consideration and use it to your advantage, i.e., get a trend moving to the upside on a lower time frame and buy pullbacks there with an eye toward getting yourself well positioned as price begins a new trend to the upside. Okay? Any questions, feel free. Barring that, we'll talk to you soon.